Hi friends, it's Holly Jones from Mrs. Jones Stitches. Welcome to this Floss Tube special edition. So today I'm going to show you how to build your color and cotton stash. Now, I stitch exclusively with color and cotton flosses in most of my stitching. With that being said, I get a lot of questions from people saying that you want to start stitching with color and cotton, but you don't really know where to begin. You don't know what colors to order or things like that. So what I have done is I've put together this video for you, and it just shows some of my favorite colors that are available that you can use to build your stash. One of the things I would recommend doing, if you go to her website, colorandcotton.com, you can download this list. This is an active thread list, and it has all the colors in alphabetical order, and these are the colors that are active, which means they are still being produced and still being dyed. Now, with that being said, there is also an inactive thread list. Now, I started going through this a couple weeks ago, and I made it through, I don't know, I think my greens. So I have my colors, my flosses organized on rings, which I'll show you in the video. And then they are in some vintage DMC drawers. These are the wooden drawers that with the clear acrylic parts that pull out. And I have them organized by color. I have reds, then I have pinks, I have oranges and yellows together. I have greens, blues, purple, and a multicolor, which, excuse me, I will show you that, although I really debated showing you those because they are pretty much all limited edition, out of stock, probably won't be dyed again. So I kind of felt like a jerk showing them, but I did want to highlight just the beauty of those flosses. They are so pretty. And then I have blacks and browns together in a drawer, and then whites. So anyway, that is how I have my floss organized. So I went through these lists the other day, and I made it to about midway through my greens, marking what I had, and then kind of out to the side I was doing little hash marks if I had multiple colors. Usually whenever I make an order and I find a color that I like, I will order multiple skeins of that same color. For example, Gretel. I use Gretel a lot. It's one of my favorite pinks. So whenever I order, I usually order 2 or 3 skeins at a time, because I don't know what is going to be active or inactive at some point. And since I use Gretel in so many projects, I like to have a skein in each bag. Again, it's just one of the colors that I use frequently. So in this video, I just show you the colors that I use the most. I did try to make sure that they are active colors for you, and that it wasn't something that you weren't able to get. There may be a couple that slip through. Some of them may say special edition on my floss card. But I did do my best to try to make sure that they are colors that you are able to get. So I hope you enjoy watching. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to do my best to try to answer. I do want to point out, and I think this is important that I share this with you, I am not an employee of Color and Cotton. I'm not affiliated with them. I am not a influencer or anything like that. I am simply a longtime stitcher who is sharing my love of a product for you, with you. I don't get any type of commission. I don't get any, special discounts or anything like that on my orders. I ordered through their website just the same as you do. So I want to make sure that you guys know that I don't get anything special from them as far as money or promotions or anything like that. So I'm just simply sharing my love of a great product with you. And I know a lot of you guys love Color and Cotton as well. It's my favorite thing to stitch with. I do have other things that I'll show you in the video. I store my floss by color, not necessarily by dyer or anything like that. So in my greens, you may also see some classic color work, some forbidden fiber, things like that. I have them. I sometimes use them more as a color reference. So if something calls for endive, for example, I might look through my Color and Cotton and see what is similar to endive. And if I do use something in my stitching that's not color and cotton, I will let you know. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the video. Please feel free to leave any questions or comments below. I'm happy to answer them. I don't think I misspoke anywhere in the video. Sometimes I do that. So anyway, happy stitching. Sorry for the weird angle. I have this great stand that I use for filming on my iPad. But for some reason my iPad does not go down, so you don't get a really good like downward angle shot. So it's kind of tilted in a funny direction, but we make it work. So anyway, happy stitching. I hope you find the video helpful, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Get started. So if you want to build your color and cotton stash, these are some of my favorite and most used reds. Lovebug, Clara, Winterberry, and Candy Apple. These are all great reds. They're really versatile. And if you look at them, they look really similar. So the good news is if you are looking for Winterberry, for example, and it's out of stock online, you can see Clara is really close to it. You know, the variegation might be slightly different. I've been using a lot of Lovebug lately too. But they are all really pretty. You know what? I actually have one more red that I want to add to this. And it is called Ferris Wheel. Let me pull one out. Here we go. Here's a Ferris wheel too. You can see Ferris wheel is just slightly lighter here. It's a little bit more toned down. So I really love this one too. And then, but those are probably the most used reds. So I would say if you're looking to build your color and cotton stash, those would be some really good reds to start with. Okay, let's move on to pinks. Kind of have my iPad set up in a little bit of a weird configuration here. So my favorite pinks, I have not used this one yet, but it was a new color. So I definitely had to get it, and I love it. It's called Posies. When I first saw Posies, it reminded me of little, the inside of like bunny ears, little bunny noses, things like that. There's bunny nose, which you can see has quite a bit of variegation from light pink to dark pink. Or I say dark pink, lighter to, you know, like a still light pink. Taffy has a little bit of a mauve to it. I love primrose. My go-to pink lately, since I've been doing a lot of like prim color palettes, is this Gretel color. You can see it looks quite a bit peachy here, but whenever I have been stitching with that more kind of prim color palette, it really is turning out to be one of my favorites. Tulle is a good mauvey pink. Petal is a really pretty bright pink. And then one of my favorites is Coral Trout. I feel like I use Coral Trout a lot in the summer. It's really great for like watermelon stitching, and I just really love those. So if you're looking to build your pink stash in color and cotton, those are some of the colors that I would recommend for starting out your stash. Okay, let me go grab the oranges. Okay, now we'll go on to our oranges. So I usually don't stitch a whole lot with a lot of orange, but these are some of my favorites to build your stash with. These are ones that I just really love. I think they're really versatile colors. So baby carrots, obviously really great for Easter stitching, snowman noses, carrots at Easter time, things like that. Gnome is a really good blend of a kind of a lighter orange with really good modeling where you've got some darker orange as well. Rustling Leaves is a darker orange, and Pumpkin Pie as well. These are both really great for your fall stitching. So really pretty pumpkins, leaves, things like that. I do know one of the Primrose charts, I want to say it was maybe the Autumn Quaker, used I think one of those. I want to say it was maybe Pumpkin Pie. It was really pretty. But those are just some oranges that you could get to build your stash. And like I said, these are just colors. I had a lot of people ask about, you know, colors to order because they want to start using more color and cotton. So these are just some of my favorites and some of my most frequently used colors in each colorway. So Marigold is a really pretty buttery yellow. Very similar to Goldilocks. Goldilocks has just a little bit more kind of variegation to it. I also really love Flaxen, and I can't remember if this one is, I didn't write inactive on the back, but just in case. And then Brass Band, And then Bumblebee is a really good bright yellow. And then I really love this turmeric color. I tend to use this in a lot of like the kind of darker prim color palettes because it kind of gives some like goldy brown vibes, but I really love it. But those are kind of my go-to yellows for whenever I'm stitching. I love the brightness of that Bumblebee. Okay, let's move on to greens. Okay, so I want to show you this real quick. I probably have the most greens out of any floss color. I have them all, again, they're on the rings. These are actually on a combination of just binder rings like this and these kind of twist lock rings. So I have them kind of sorted, again, by colorway. These are more of my aquas, turquoises, things like that. Then over here, I have some lighter kind of sage greens, some mint kind of greens. And these are not necessarily all color and cotton. I keep all my floss stored by color, regardless of designer. So we've got a Classic Colorworks in here. I have over here, oh, this is like, I've got a Forbidden Fiber. But that's kind of how I store my floss. Gentle Arts. So these ones here are more like bright kind of greens, but you can see I have some other ones scattered in here, and honestly probably I just got lazy when I was trying to put stuff up and I was just hurrying, so I just started throwing any green on. So those are kind of some brighter greens. This one looks kind of brown, but it's actually, what's it called, hazel brown, but it was pulling green to me, obviously, I guess, when I put it away. You can look at these right here. All these greens here, to me, to my eye, have kind of a blue undertone. So I really don't use a lot of these like blue greens. I use a lot of this right here, these yellow greens. These are my favorite greens to use. So let me go ahead and get some of these pulled. But I did want to show you that even though, you know, I have all of these organized and put in my green drawer, there are some significant variations based on just the color green. There's blue green, there's, you know, aqua, there's sage green, there's yellow green. So let me get my favorites pulled and then we will go over those. Okay, so let's get started on our greens. I use a lot of yellow green, and I'm going to show you these. So I love Army Green. Army Green is one of my definite go-tos. However, you'll notice right up here it says Special Edition. So this is not made anymore. But if you look at Tadpole, Tadpole's really, really close. So a lot of times, like if I call for something that I use and I say I use Army Green, Tadpole would be a really great substitute for that because they are so similar. I also love this one. This is Holly. It's just a little bit lighter. My definite go-to green that I use the most in all my stitching is Mesquite. It just is a really pretty yellow green. It's not too dark. And then usually if I need two shades, I'll put Mesquite and Tadpole together, or Mesquite and Army Green. And then I use Mesquite and Pine Needles together a lot just because a lot of charts call for maybe two greens, a lighter and a darker green. If you do want more of a lighter green, I really love Boxwood. It's such a really pretty green. And then I have Cilantro, which is a darker green. This is my favorite Christmas green. It is called Sweet Basil. It is such a pretty, bright, vibrant green. And then I also really love this one. And this is called Fairway. It is, it's got some really good, bright variegation in it, where you can see there are light spots and there's some kind of dark spots too. But those are definitely my go-to greens, specifically these ones over here. I love yellow greens. Okay, now we'll talk about my favorite teals. These are all great colors to build your color and cotton collection. Now, I could not remember if this one is available or not. There's two. There's either Duck Egg or Robin's Egg, and I could not remember, but this is Duck Egg. You can see it's got a little bit more of a blue tone to it. I love this one, Mint Chip. It is one of my most favorite kind of light turquoise colors. I use this a lot whenever I am stitching, you know, eggs and nests and things like that. I also love Reggae. It's a little bit darker than Mint Chip. It has a little bit more blue in it. Then I love Hansel. It's kind of my prim go-to for teal. And then I love this one too. This is one of the brights from January of 2024, and it is Seafoam. Now that one you can tell has quite a bit more green to it, but that's one of the beauties of kind of the aqua colorway is you can kind of go either way. You have some that are more blue heavy and some that lean more towards green. But those are my, you know, go-to for building your aqua stash using Color and Cotton. Okay, so I mentioned how many greens I have. I also have a ton of blues. Now, these are not organized as well as my greens are, which I actually really probably need to go back and organize these a lot better. But I have a lot of blues, and they are, you know, really pretty. We got some like dark navy down here, which is, I love this one. It is Blue Whale. I'm not sure if this is still available or not. It says special edition, so it might not be, but man, that is such a good blue. And then I also have some in here, some brighter ones that I thought maybe were too bright for the turquoise ring, but are still really, really pretty. So I have that ring of blues. I have this ring of blues. And then these are kind of my more prim kind of blues. I do have those organized a little bit more. Okay, let me get my favorites pulled and I'll be right back. Okay, so to build your stash for blues, let me show you some of my favorites. This is Flurries. It is a really, really pale blue. Then I'm not sure if this one is still made or not. I love it. It's called Serenade. It does say special edition, so it might not be, but I wanted to include it because I do have several skeins of it and I use it frequently. I do know this one is available. This is Puddle Jumping. This could almost go in with the teals, but I really like it. I keep it with my blues. Then there's Azure, which is just a shade darker than Puddle Jumping. Land of Snow has a little bit more kind of a gray blue to it. This is one of my most favorites. I use it all the time. This is Wintertide. Now it does look a little more tealy here, and I'll show you an example of what I used it in. Winterland, just a little bit more gray in it than Wintertide. Then we have Old Glory, which is a really pretty blue. Then there's Union Blue, which is a little bit darker. Battleship, and then Anchors Away. Those are my recommendations if you are wanting to build your blue stash. Now, let me get an example. Well, this isn't it. I'm sorry. What color did I use on this? I used Hansel on this. Okay, so let me show you. There's another color called Hansel, and it kind of is right in here. It is still available. But I just finished this last week from Hands On Design, and I'll use this as just an example of, I know a lot of people think red, white, and blue, and they think traditional red, traditional white, and then, you know, a dark blue like this. When I want stuff to look a little bit more vintage or faded and washed out, I will do a kind of a turquoisey, kind of a turquoise blue, something probably in this colorway right over here. It gives it a really good faded look, and it's not overly bright. Now, if I were to use, you know, this blue here, it would give it kind of a richer, less worn look. But in my 4th of July and patriotic decor, I really like a more vintage, worn look. So I usually go with a kind of a more washed out or like a turquoisey blue in there. I hope that helped. So for example, my colors I used in this piece were Ferris Wheel, which is this red right here, kind of a vintage washed out red. And then I used Old Lace, and is it right here? I had it just over here. And then let me grab it. It's going to drive me crazy if I'm not able to show you. Okay, I found it. This is Hansel. So looking at this, you wouldn't think, oh, this gives me patriotic vibes. But paired with Ferris wheel and old lace, it kind of gives you a more washed out vibe, especially on this linen. Now this linen is 32 count straw gingham by Weeks. So looking here, you can see that that is the color that I used, and it just gives it a more faded out appearance. This is available still from Color and Cotton, and it is, again, I'd probably put it in right there as far as the colorway. Maybe over here too. It's got a little bit more green to it, but anyway, so those are my recommendations for building your Color and Cotton stash in the blue colorway. So I shouldn't even show these because you cannot get these, but so I feel like a jerk even showing them, but I'm going to because I love them. So these are all of my really heavily variegated and multicolored dyes. So this one here, and like I said, you can't get these anymore, but this is confetti. It's got a little bit of every color in here. This is Lagoon. Lots of pretty kind of blues and teals in here. This is from Forbidden Fiber, so we won't talk about that one right now. Fiesta, pinks and kind of corals. This one is Lantern. But anyway, like I said, I feel like a jerk for even showing them, but they are just like the honorable mentions of my collection. I love these. I love this one here. This is called Fall Flowers, with all the pretty pinks and purples. This one's really fun. Candy cane confetti. What else? This one's really pretty. Watermelon. But anyway, I wanted to show them because they are so pretty. Oasis. This reminds me of one of those hydrangeas that has all the pretty blues on it. Cosmic has blues and purples. Anyway, some of these are really old. I think this is Unicorn Tail with light purple, light pink, and peach. Anyway, they're just really lovely. I'm so happy to have these in my collection. These would be really great for those monochromatic pieces. I always look at these and I think of those luminous fiber art ones like the birds. But anyway, I love them all. They're so pretty. There's a really pretty one in here too called Bomb Pop. Isn't that fun? It reminds me of summer. So I'll also, while I have you here, I'll also show you my purples. These are all my purples. And I will tell you, I'm not a purple girl. I do not hardly ever use purple in my stitching. So I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what is in stash currently and what is not. I will say I do know for a fact that this lilac is in stock and still available. It's a really pretty purple. I think this would be really pretty for spring stitching, tulips, things like that. Since I don't stitch with a lot of purple, my best advice is going to be go to the website and find what you like. They are all so different. And you can see there's gray purples, there's, bright, that's probably grape, Purple Rain is this one here. It's a really bright, vibrant purple. There's some of these that are kind of like maroon purples. This is called Parlor. It's got a lot of really pretty variegation in it. So honestly, go to the website and find out what you like if you are a purple girl. I'm not, and for somebody who's not a purple girl, I have a lot of purples. Okay, another color I have a lot of are browns, and you can look and see there's a lot of different variegations with the browns. There's ones that have more red to it, ones that are more chocolate brown, some tans over here. This is one of my favorites. It is called Harvest Wheat. It's a really good kind of a light brown. This is another one of my favorites, Brown Sugar, but you can tell just in the looking at these, they're very different as well. This one is a little bit, has a little bit more yellow to it. Almond latte is a really great one also. And that's right here. I don't have a favorite chocolate brown. I really do like, I think it's called Birdhouse. Birdhouse is great. But anyway, I don't have any really particular favorite browns. That one looks really green to me, Pony Ring. But anyway, look and just find your favorite browns. Some of my favorite that I had noted are Birdhouse, Brown Sugar, Burlap, Hay Bale, Harvest Wheat, Embroidery Hoop, and Shaker Box. So I don't have those pulled, but I tend to gravitate more towards kind of like your rich browns with not a lot of gold or green undertones. So that's what I would recommend for those as far as browns. My blacks are stored very similar. You can look here. These are all my blacks and grays. Some of my favorite blacks, and this actually is out of discontinued, but I love this peppercorn color. It is so pretty. My number one favorite black right now is this one here called Creek Bed. It does have some gray in it as well. And then I also love this one here called Paving Stones. Paving Stones is a little bit darker than Creek Bed, but those are my top ones. Now, if you want a true black, I would recommend this one here. It's called Rustic Black. And that is going to give you a really deep, dark, kind of mascara-y black. What is this one here too? Black Oak. That one's a good one too. So those are kind of the go-tos that I use the most when I'm stitching with a black or dark. And this is Black Oak and Rustic Black. But just looking through here too, like I said, these are my blacks and grays. But some of these grays look really blue. This black has a lot of blue in it, Chimney Sweep. This one still is available. I love this one too. Santa's Boots. Anyway, so those are my blacks. And my whites that I always recommend, that I love the most, I love Old Lace. It is not super bright. It's just a really good kind of a creamy white. Let me pull the rest of my whites here. I'm just going to take them off the ring as I look at them. I love this one. This is Almond. It's got a little bit more kind of yellow to it. Eggnog definitely has more yellow to it. Tusk is a really great white as well. And my brightest white, I'm trying to look and see if I have some right here. I didn't pull my whites. I tried having most of the other colors pulled. I really like this one. This is Natural Cotton. It just kind of depends on the look that you're going for. You know, if I'm doing a Santa, I usually don't ever go with a bright white. My favorite bright white is called Pearl White. And I'm looking through my, here we go. There's a Pearl White. It is very bright. So I use this if I'm stitching snow, snowflakes, things like that, because it is so bright. But I'll tend to use, if I'm stitching like Santa's beard or things like that, I'll usually use like a Tusk or Old Lace, where it gives it just a little bit more kind of depth of the color, if that makes sense. That way it doesn't look too stark. But some people really like stark, so you do what works for you. This one here, when I stitched Liberty, I stitched this in Old Lace because I wanted to give it a little bit more of a vintage feel. I didn't want it to be so stark against that straw linen. So those are just some of my kind of go-tos that I use probably the most frequently in my stitching. I hope this video helped you kind of see some colors in person and give you some ideas of some essentials that you can use to build your color and cotton stash. One thing I would recommend also is they have their gradient packs where it might have 4 different shades of red. And usually it's like soft, light, medium, dark and bold is how they have their colors kind of arranged. But those are a great way to build your stash and get your get a lot of bang for your buck. A lot of the colors are really similar, and they have a lot of the same colors and tones to them as well.